Hello? Can everyone hear me now? Can everyone hear me now? Hello? Can everyone hear me now? Can everyone hear me now? Is it clear? Is it breaking? Okay, beautiful. Sorry for the technical issues. It was tested, but I don't know what happened. This is a lifestyle for content creator. Can you bear with me? Okay, so we'll continue from where we stopped. Okay, thank you for your patience. I truly appreciate. These are some challenges that I believe you'd face, but we'll learn better. We'll learn more. So as I was saying out, I would want to take this platform to appreciate everyone here. I truly appreciate, especially your patience and your journey with me. But first of all, I would like to say that let's take this class as serious as possible because this class is very impactful. Myself, throughout the journey of putting together this course, I've learned so much myself. Things that I wasn't hoping to see, I saw. Things I wasn't ready to hear, I heard, and I took note of them. And to serve as a proof, I got a new note and a new pen. There it is, so that just in case something comes up, I can also take notes. So I believe this would be very impactful to to you and myself. We'll take some simple questions that I believe would help us know where we are and also know where we want to find ourselves doing when it comes to content creating. And I want to ask a simple question. Um, in the next 6 months from now, what would you want to see yourself consistently doing? You can type that in the comment section. I'll be reading them, and if there's anyone that I would love to address, definitely I'll bring it up and we'll all have that discussion. But yeah, type in the comment section what you'd like to see yourself do in the next 6 months, and definitely whatever you learn from here is going to be a part of that journey. Mind you, this class is not just going to be a 2 day class, it's going to be a class that is here to stay. As I promised you earlier, it's a community, and this community is here to stay, and it's here to help you make some make some money, be the best influencer, help your business grow, and other areas that this conversation will touch on. Oh wow, okay. Someone say creating content, content, posting more content. Oh, that's beautiful. Become a content creator. Okay, that is broad. That's beautiful. Okay, kindly type your goal for this class. Next 6 months from now, what would you want to see yourself consistently doing when it comes to content? How do you want it to impact your life? How do you want it to impact your career? How do you want it to impact your lifestyle? Okay, beautiful. Okay, to everyone that wants to actually narrow their content to find their niche, that is actually this first topic would help you more. Okay, okay. So I'd want to bring up our first topic would actually be about content psychology. Content psychology. Ooh, okay, okay, that's nice. Okay, I honestly appreciate your interaction, and keep your comments coming. But our first conversation is going to be about content psychology. And the reason why I want to start with this, especially, is so that we can be mindful of how to connect with our audience. Because connecting with our audience is not by chance, it's not by mistake. Even if you stumble upon, someone for a while, if you're not intentional about what you're doing, you can find yourself losing the person, and you don't know how to keep the person again. So content psychology is very, very important. So this is my slide, and bear with me if you see anything there that looks weird. It's just my notes. I just wanted to share with you so that you can connect with me and know how we can both have this conversation. So content psychology is one of the conversations that I've noticed that most people do not talk about. When people say content, they are all about the camera and the person standing behind the light and talking to the camera. But also there's a lot that goes into it. I believe one of my story I can share with you is this class, for example. This class has been a conversation I've had with people for 3 years. 3 years, and I set the mark that I want to create a class. I always tell them that I'm going to have a class in the next two months, in the next 3 months, in the next 4 months, in the next 6 months. Interestingly, somehow in my books, it was more of a trick. It was kind of a little trick that I was playing, even though yes, part of my learning wasn't everything wasn't together. So over time, let me just give you a background story. Over time, I kept pushing the date and I kept pushing the time, and subconsciously, people began to notice my my conversation about content creating, but they don't see my action towards it, right? Until now that I decided to have a class, the goal for my marketing and making sure that I get about 50 people was to create batch content, was to create short skits and all those things that is going to catch people's attention. And trust me, my as much as my goal was 50 people, I was aiming at, okay, 50 people, I'm going to end up getting 20 people signed. Until I just posted a flyer and a word out there, and all of a sudden I have about 93 people. And this actually proved to me that when you pay attention to the psychology and content, really it pays off. So content psychology is very, very crucial, and every content creator needs it to create content. You need it, honestly. And you have to pay attention to your audience, whether you are doing it subtly or you're doing it, intentionally upfront. So I think over 3 years I've been shooting content, and people have always been asking me the question about, I like what you do and how do I learn about it, and all I tell them is that I'm organizing a class, and just be ready in the next 3 months. I would have this class ready. So I think most of the people that are in the group were people that had interest, I think, about 3 to 1 year back, and today I just have about 93 people. Honestly, I'm very excited. I don't know what it feels like, but I know that I'm extremely excited. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, so content psychology is basically understanding how people think, you know, and behave when they see content in general. So when you see a funny video, anyone that is shooting a funny skit is aiming at making sure that the audience laugh. You can't shoot a skit and people end up being angry. You can imagine what you are creating if you're creating, something like that. If you are creating a content for your business, which is aiming at, making money, and in the end you're not making the money, that means you are losing out on a key factor, which is you are not catching the minds of your audience. I think over time we'll talk about so many things. So you just stay tuned. Yes, content psychology. So why does this matter? Why does this matter in this class? Okay, first of all, one thing I know concerning every person is that they love to invest in something that gives them outcome. Your time, your effort really matters. And the impact of your hard work in content creating matters. It matters a lot. And myself, I saw it as a challenge or a problem, and I have decided to solve this problem. You know, if it matters to you, I believe it matters to me too. And as such, me having this class means that I am very concerned and want to help, give back to the community. So every effort deserves an attention, and every content psychology should, cut the veil to help you connect with your audience effectively. If you are not connecting with your customers or your clients or your audience effectively, then that means there's something that we are losing out on. Okay, there is something very, very crucial that we are losing out on, and that is to say that, sorry, that is to say that content psychology is one of the things that you have to be very intentional about. And little story I want to give about that is, when I was putting together this class, and also sometimes when I have to put together a concept for a client, one thing I find myself doing is either walking, taking long walks, or lying in my bed doing nothing, playing music, and in my mind, I'm not listening to the lyrics. My head or my mind is far away, capturing visions, capturing pictures and videos that can connect with someone. Over 5 to 7 years in practicing cinematography as a business, I've always been intentional about what I create to help my customers or to help my clients be able to connect with their people. To some, it's all about giving them the best quality in terms of making the visual look very, very good. To some of them, it's not about the quality. To some of them, it's about the story that they are trying to connect with their client with. As much as creativity is key to, you know, is key to every content creator. Also, you should know that you being able to make it relatable is very, very important. You being able to make it as simple as possible is very, very important. You making it um, very, very, I think my slide will talk more about that when we get there. But as a content creator, the best thing you want to do is to first of all find a platform that best connects with your customers. And in content psychology, it captures how you can think as a customer and a content creator that you'd create something that your people would want to hear. So let's jump into defining what psychology is when it comes to content. Content psychology is the understanding on how people think. So this one, you're doing a job of you thinking as a customer, you understanding. It's not just you capturing the knowledge about what people want and what people do not want, or you find a problem. That it doesn't just stay in that place. You have to, you know, have a moment to yourself and understand how people think when it comes to, let's say, you are selling cosmetics, or you've opened a YouTube channel. You know, when it comes to those things, you have to take your time to think about how the people think. You have to imagine how they feel. Do you understand? You have to imagine it. After watching this content, how do you want them to feel? Do you want them to feel happy? Do you want them to feel sad? There was this one time I was asked to create a montage video of my auntie. I call her Rich Auntie. Yes, I think I was supposed to appreciate her earlier on for also give me the impact. So I was creating content for her in terms of gathering some archives of her to, basically show her journey. And I was supposed to submit the work, I think, 2 days before the event, but I ended up submitting the work 2 hours before the event. And this was the reason why. As much as, yeah, I submitted it very late, one thing that was very, 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 very intentional about One thing I was very, very intentional about was making sure that I am able to create a very, how do I put it, a catching video that will be able to make her cry. Well, sorry to use the word cry, but yes, I wanted to make her cry, emotionally connect with her past, and make her understand her present, knowing the journey that she has been through. So, interestingly, I took about 3 days thinking about how to edit this work, and I used about 2 hours to edit the work. That was how come I was able to submit it 2 hours before the event. And this was really satisfying because I had to just take my time off to make sure that this content works. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Hello? Can everyone hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay. Hello? Okay, beautiful. Okay, so I thought for a minute there was a technical issue somewhere. Okay, so long story short, I was able to, you know, cut down the an entire 50 years of her life. I was able to boil it down to about 1 minute video, which made her cry. The goal was to make her cry. And because of that, I was able to cut the story in such a way that it was able to connect with her past. And as when I saw her in that moment tearing up, I felt joyful. Not in a bad way though. So yes, you knowing how your consumers feel about how you are creating your content is very, very important. And also how they behave when they see the content. We many times see content on social media and we are quick to scroll, or we are quick to behave with the content. If you don't find someone scrolling, then that means the person is ready to engage with your content. And why the reason why we are here is because we want to find people engage with our content, not to scroll, right? So content psychology is very important. And one thing I want to put across is that a good content is not about the best camera. A good content is not about having an expensive camera. Because if you are ready to invest in your camera, which is good, but if you don't have the skills or the means to connect with people, trust me, you're not going to hit your target. In recent times, I've found some Nigerian creators who have, utilized their gears to create catching stories. That honestly, there's this guy. I hope you get to hear this one. Disney. This comedian, Nigerian comedian, is like right now the one of the best people I have come to connect with because he doesn't just use, I mean, he has equipment, but he doesn't use expensive equipment because I've seen most of his BTS. It's just the iPhone and a couple of lights. There's not no serious camera and all that. You know, he has taken the creative aspect of content creating. He has been able to think about how his customers or his consumers would connect with him, and you'll find how he uses his visuals and audio to connect with his people, and that is the key part of it. You understand? We are going to talk about how to connect with your people using sound and using visuals. And we are going to do more practicality tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be more practical than today. Tomorrow you're going to see a lot of how they achieve their results. But today we're going to see a lot of alphabets on the screen. So yes, it's not all about buying the expensive gears, but it's all about you being able to also utilize your environment to create content. However, it doesn't mean you have to settle for less. because the more you upgrade in terms of your content equipment, the more you find it easy to access, shortcuts. The reason why I'm able to record inside is because I'm not waiting for the sun. If I didn't have a light, trust me, this class would have still happened, and I would have probably done it close to my window just to improvise. It doesn't stop me from creating content. It's rather me using what I have to achieve what I want. But glory be to God, I have a light that I can use that light instead of using the sun. Do you get? So getting gears is as much as it's good, it's not the main thing you should focus on first. You learning how to connect with your consumers is key. Okay, so a quick note: it is not what you post; it is how the content makes people feel and respond. If anytime you create a content, I would want to pass this. I mean, this general question, right? I want to see how everyone here respond to content. I believe everybody has social media. Even if you don't have all of it, you have some of it. And if I may ask, why do you scroll away from watching a particular content? If you can kindly type in the comment section, why do you scroll? Have you ever seen yourself scroll from a particular content? You didn't even engage yourself in it for the next, 3 to 5 seconds. You just scroll like that. Who here can relate? Who here can relate? Anyone? Hello, hello. Anyone here? Anyone? Can you send a message? And if possible, kindly share with us why you scroll. Why did you just immediately skip that video? Was it because it was not relatable? Was it because it wasn't interesting? Or it didn't really catch your attention? Beautiful. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So I believe if you've seen yourself doing it other content, even though the content can have about 11K, 12K, 15K, likes and all that, but with you in particular, it didn't connect with you at all. So you decided to scroll, and that is what we are here to focus about and talk about. That content psychology is really really important, because that person couldn't connect with you. It doesn't mean that that content was not, but it didn't connect with you as an individual. That is not your circle of interest. Oh, somebody said it's long and boring. It's okay to have a long content, but also, I mean, that boils down to editing. I believe tomorrow we're going to touch a bit on editing and how to keep it interactive. I think people, you mostly hear about visual hooks. Visual hooks is one of the things that people are always using. But interestingly, you know that sound actually hook people more than visual. That is the reason why scary movies are scary. Not because the screen is dark. Interestingly, because they can play one sound like that, and then you are not seeing any claws, but you're already jumping out of your bed. But I mean, that was just by the way. So soundbook is very very important, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow. So if you notice, like this guy that I mentioned earlier, Disney, most of you can go and check him out. And please, let's kindly, I want to use the opportunity to say kindly subscribe to this my YouTube channel um, for my business. It's actually, this whole class is powered by Atkelly Motion, and they've done me really really good. So kindly take time. You can look through the content and subscribe. You can click the bell button so that anytime there's a content, you would get in touch with that content. And I'll be posting a lot of content on this page particular. I'll be posting a lot of content concerning how to grow in your content skill and all that. So yeah, kindly take time to subscribe and click the bell button so you don't miss any video that comes up. So yes, back to the question that we asked. Unrelatable content is one of the content you do not want to find yourself creating, because unrelatable content, oh my god, trust me, after all the investment you've done and you're not able to connect with, the audience you would hope to connect with, and you will see yourself investing so much in equipment that you are unable to achieve that right result. Do you understand? And your goal every time for shooting content mostly is to grab attention, to keep people watching, to make them engage, and that is basically everything that we are going for. You understand? We are going for all that. So one core principle, I want us to deal with some principle of content psychology. Okay, let me put that. Yeah, one core principle of content psychology is attention is everything. Oh my god, attention is everything. As much as you want to use your visual hook, remember you did it in the beginning, and that's the first 3 seconds. Say if you don't catch your audience in the first 3 seconds, you've lost them. But I mean, we also have people that were always looking for consistent visual hooks that should keep them seated. Interestingly, visual hooks are, like I said, it's not just in the visual, but also when it comes to the sound. Sound, not just in. I'm not talking about quality sound. Quality sound plays an aspect, but also, sound in terms of sound design. Sound design is key. So as much as you want to learn about creating content visually, you want to create content. How do I say? Is it audio? Yeah, using audio. You using audio. So attention is everything. People scroll fast. Myself, I scroll 3 times before I wait for my next engagement. Right. So if your content doesn't hook them in the next first 1 to 3 seconds, which the question here is, how can you hook someone in the next 3 seconds? How? What can you do? You see someone slap the camera. You see someone hits the camera. I mean, it works because one thing about content psychology, it does something to the mind that, and interestingly, this is just a tip, right? In psychology, anything that puts people in an uncomfortable space will keep them watching. I think that's just one tip. So if you find someone holding a mic using a spoon, it is a very weird combination. Why would you mic your spoon and use it for mic, for audio? I don't know. You've seen a couple of people trying it and it works. I mean, it became a trend for a while, and I think now it's normal. People want something new, and now you see someone now hook it to a flashlight or a ring light or their clothes, or they'll clip it to their finger. So people are just trying other things, because one thing about the mind is every time it finds itself in an uncomfortable condition, it wants to interpret it and make it relatable, right? So the more the mind is trying to break that down, you will now see it, that the content is being engaged. So before I would finish interpreting a moment where the guy is holding a mic with a fork, I have already consumed 1 minute. Then I will now re-watch the content because I didn't get the message the first time. Do you understand? So that is why people sometimes do weird things, because your brain naturally it likes to interpret unusual things. So that is one basic tip you would want to try. But it doesn't mean you should go and stand on it. I beg you. Try and make it more to a standard so that we don't lose out on your content. And you can find that many times with people that are doing comedy, right? So if your content is not getting engagement, you have probably not considered what you can engage your viewers over time with. If your content is not all about this, That means you've actually not added the facts that your content need to be able to connect with your audience. Do you understand? Content psychology captures all that. So this is a moment for you to sit back, reflect on how your customers or your audience or consumers think, how they feel, and how they want to relate with it. If you find anyone using problem solving as a visual hook, it's because people can connect with that problem. Do you understand? So we'll dive more into that as time goes on. One core principle of content psychology we want to be, we want to look at is emotions, where you say emotion drives engagement. I think I've spoken about this a couple of times, but I want to, you know, talk more about it now that I have the opportunity. Emotions is one thing that drives everything basically, whether you are shooting it or whether you are consuming it. Your emotion is attached to whatever you watch. How you feel is key. Whatever makes you feel good, you come back to it. Even horror movies, interestingly, I was surprised to hear. Um, I wouldn't want to classify any gender, but I heard a couple of people, let me say it that way, say horror movie are the best movies you can watch, especially when the space is dark. I was surprised to hear that, but those who can relate, right? So when you're able to capture the emotions of someone when shooting content, it doesn't matter the kind of content, honestly, whether it's business. You understand? In business, many times people focus on problem solving. When you are hearing someone talk about something that you are finding challenge with, one thing that you feel is comfort. You feel like I'm in a safe space to learn. I'm in a place where after this class I'm going to, be I'm going to improve. I'm going to, grow. And it is amazing how these things work, because many times you think people are not going to connect with these things, emotionally, but it's a lie. Every content you create, people connect with it, even if they have to buy, even if they have to spend money, after watching your content, there's an emotional engagement. If you watch Dr. Apreko, there are a couple of contents I've watched from him. He is all about health and well-being. The way he creates his content is very, very, very catchy. You understand? As much as he applies principles when it comes to content psychology, as much as he applies that and also has the equipment to shoot all these things, one thing that he's all about is connecting with his people by providing solutions. The solution comes in different ways. He shoots in different space, but we are all. I'm always okay. Let me speak for myself. I'm always connected to him because he's always saying something that resonates with me. Do you understand? So anytime I'm engaging in that particular content of his or any health content, I'm like, okay, I'm going to consider doing this better. I'm going to consider doing that better. If it is not about me, I'll possibly share it or save it. So if so far what I've said is something that is helping you, kindly type something in the comment section. You can type what you've learned so far or written down so far. And we are so rolling. Okay. So people engage with your content that makes them feel something. It makes them relatable. It inspires them. It shocks. They are shocked. They are curious. They are motivated. I mean, it goes beyond that. But I stated this one that because this is the most common, way that we connect with our people when we are creating content. You know, you know, if you're someone that you are all about staying behind the gear and shooting without being mindful of how you are connecting with your what's it called, with your audience. One thing you find yourself doing is you'll find people coming to you and leaving through the back door. Do you understand? People will come but will not be able to connect because you have not found the pattern that really works for your content and help your audience, stay around for more content. As much as consistency is in your content, many times because you are not mindful of how your customers or consumers are connecting with you, you are losing out on the bigger picture. So you let them go. And sometimes you will ask yourself questions like, how come my numbers are not increasing? You get, and that is one thing you have to be mindful about. So if you look at this, one of the statements that, okay, beautiful. Okay, kindly share your thoughts on what you've learned so far. Kindly share your thoughts. Kindly share your thoughts. Statement like, statement like, I used to be afraid to pose, make your viewers connect with you and all that. But one thing I want to also put across is, as much as you want to make your content relatable, you also have to know the boundaries in making your content relatable. Many times people forget themselves and go overboard. Do you understand? People go overboard in the sense that they always want to make people relate with their darkest secret, and that's one thing you don't necessarily have to do. They want to make um, peop, their people connect with them so much that they always go all the way to do something crazy, something, something that is, I mean, it's supposed to be in your own sacred space. But then, because you want to gain the numbers, you go for it. And if you check the internet, you see so much content that you don't really have to see, but because they want to get the numbers. And one thing about the mind is the mind will always want to interpret those moments. So you see yourself watching, but you somewhere deep in your heart you don't like the content that you are seeing, but you want to see to the end and see how it ends. Now that you have seen how it ends, you don't want to go. You still want to watch the game. But one thing you see yourself do also, that you will not see yourself follow that page. You will not see yourself, want to see more of it, because it is that one-time content that you do not want to connect with. As much as it was catchy, as much as it could be a conversation, maybe economic conversation or a crisis conversation, that as much as it wasn't comfortable, it hooked you. You watched it. They have their views. Possibly you might like it, just to show your support or not, but you not be a part of their community. Do you understand? So your content can be that kind of type of content where you would communicate, people would come around, and watch, view everything, but yet they will not stay. So those are the things you want to check. You want to really check with how you are creating your content before you put yourself out there. You want to do that before you put yourself out there. Or if you're already out there, you want to be more intentional about it, so that these things are very easy on the fingertips. So I want us to check the next slide. One core principle of content psychology is clarity, and clarity honestly beats creativity. There are so many content that are trending now, especially when it comes to memes. They are trending now, and they are being reused because this content, as much as it doesn't contain the creativity in terms of the shot and all those things. It doesn't contain everything. Like I think recently there is this meme I saw about Aki and Popo. There was this attitude they had about counting money, and the content, as much as it was a short meme, it was clear. I could relate with it. I could, I mean, I think it was being posted during salary month, and we were all expecting some salary. So, and when I saw that content, I also reposted it because it was relatable. I mean, when you have to pay your workers, or if you are as a worker, you are expecting payments, and you see a meme circulating. Okay, let's just say it's Akili and Popo that did that kind of relating content where they were counting money and laughing, and hitting it in the palm like that. You can imagine that content is relatable, and it sets a massive clarity on what you guys are doing. We are both clear on the matter. If I post right now, you and I, we are clear on what I'm trying to communicate. It doesn't confuse you. Do you get? So content like that make as much as it doesn't contain all the creative aspect of it with light, camera, and all that. You see, even many times, even the quality is even low. But yes, still that's content that is still circulating, not just because it's a trend, because in that moment we know what you are communicating. So you can imagine if that meme was you right now. You understand? You can imagine if you, as the creator, you've done something like that. You will find someone else posting you because they want to communicate that clarity, that sincere connection to others. Do you get? So many beginners try to let me put up my notes so I can see. Yeah, many beginners try to be too creative and they end up confusing people. Sometimes it actually happens when you are putting together a script. Do you get? When you are putting together a script and you see people or creators, they'll say so much that they end up confusing their uh, audience. Let me give an example or a story. I think earlier, what's it called? When I started creating content, one thing I started practicing was writing scripts, and I think till now I've put it to heart that I'm not going to write script again because trust me, the script I ended up writing, I wish I had ended the characters by saying they all died because the content wasn't clear. The whole story wasn't clear. You get so one thing I actually find myself doing was I was giving roles and giving so much conversations to them to the extent that I end up losing out on the bigger picture on what I wanted to communicate about. And that is one thing you want to be really, really mindful about because being clear it's better than you being too creative. And know your target audience. That is one thing you want to practice in content psychology. You want to be very mindful of that. Know your target audience. Knowing your target audience helps you as a creator know how to tailor your content. If you know that what you are selling possibly could sound too serious, so sorry, if you're able to capture this really well, you are able to work as a marketer or you're able to function as a marketing director basically for your business. If you know your audience, you will know how to sell what you have. You know how to sell the content you are providing. If you don't know the audience you are trying to target, you will lose out on the bigger picture. And one example that I can use is when I started this content, there were so many things that came to mind that what should I really teach? Because I had so many people that had challenges with content when it comes to shooting, when it comes to editing, when it comes to audience interaction, when it comes to engagement, when it comes to being able to stand in front of camera. That's as little as standing in front of camera. People were concerned about all these things. But the question here is, how do I want to tailor my content to gather these number of people? Because I mean, first off, to hear the name of the class, one thing that you will come to know is that this class is basically for what? People who are starting afresh. The Creators Foundation class is one name that would help, that will connect everyone to come together. Do you understand? So using one principle of psychology where I want to set the entire content class clear, where I want to set the solution clear, I named the class the Creators Foundation class, where every creator that comes to be a part of this class gets to understand the foundation of being a content creator. So me setting the information clear right now, what I've done is I've been able to beat the creative aspect of it. Being a creative aspect of it would have moved into me doing batch content creating, me putting together articles, me putting together word out there, and that is not even me practicing marketing yet. This is just me using creative other creative aspects to engage the audience to be able to come on board. But little, okay, well, I was very, very, very aware. I was actually aware of the name I was choosing. But as much as I wasn't certain of the number, me hitting the target of 50, I mean, I was hoping to get about, 20, 30 people that is going to be interested in the class. But then putting the word out there, possibly I believe that is one thing that caught your attention, the name of the class. I believe so. If you can, if you can side with me, or if you agree with me, kindly type a yes in the comment section. If the name alone catch your attention, kindly put a yes in the comment section, because what I wanted to do honestly was to sit down and create about 10 different content. If I show you the book that contains this concept, oh my god, I think I shared it with a couple of friends of mine, the ideas of me batch creating content to put out there so that I can be able to get as much as people to sign for this free class as much as possible. I was ready to go out there, and go all out just to get about 40 people. But I believe the name did justice. All I just did was post 2 flyers, and this is why I am 93 people. So I believe you setting a clear information out there would save you a lot from being too creative. I'm not disputing creativity, because creativity is what help you in building more capacity in delivering your information. Creativity is key, but it has a part to play. Knowing your target audience is key. You know, so okay, I'm not seeing a lot of people type yes. Is it a no? If it's a no, to please type no. Please type no. Okay, so we'll continue. So this is a key foundation to your journey in content creating. Take it easy and be intentional. Take it one step at a time. Clarity help you in consistency. Creativity is also needed at some point. You understand? Creativity is needed in your journey in content creating. But people should instantly understand what your content is about and what it matters, so that they can be able to learn and keep watching. That is your goal. Your goal is to set everything clear. If you have to move in that light for a while, that is all. Trust me, it works, because it's a principle that it is applied and it always works. If you see your content spike up and come down all of a sudden, it means that there was something that happened in there that you are not certain about. One of the example I gave previously was people that were engaged to your content, even though they are not comfortable with what they are watching, they are still engaged in it because it's still catching their eyes. The brain is trying to interpret what they are watching. Their brain is not done interpreting, so they will not leave. And that is how it works many times. Until the brain is done, no one is leaving. Do you understand? So one thing I want you to know, that know who you are creating content for. That is one thing you should know. Oh wow, okay. I'm actually curious to know how you got to register for this content. Did you see the flyer? Were you invited by a friend? Were you forced? Were you? That was just by the way. How did you get to know about this? And how did you get the opportunity to register? Who invited you to be a part of this class? Can you share with me? I think I would like to leverage on that more, and also make more impact using that system. So kindly share with me, for those who said no, especially, kindly share with me how you got to know about the class. And and all that. Thank you so much. I'll be on standby. I actually need this information, so I'll be on standby to see that. Okay, let's get back into the class. There should be, as a content creator, one thing I want to pass across is that there should be a time or there should be a season where you hunt new followers. It is key. It is key that you take your time to hunt new followers, and there's a moment where you focus on what creating and connecting with the people you've already hunted for. If you are always hunting for new people and you do not connect with the people that are already in your content space, one thing you lose out or one thing you miss out is those who are in begin to work out, and those who are coming in are most likely going to work out because at some point it doesn't connect with them anymore. So there are moments where you want to focus on getting people in, and you can achieve that using other systems and other methods. I believe we're going to discuss more on this particular topic as well. I mean, practical ways to connect with your people, and also practical ways you can get more people into your your following or your community. So we're going to be doing that. Oh, okay, mastermind community. Oh, okay, okay, okay. You have conversation. Okay, okay. The visuals caught my attention. The flyer. Oh, okay, okay. Thank you so much. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. And there's a moment I think I would want to say a big thank you to all the communities that helped me spread the word. Natalia, Priscilla, Jennifer, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. So you would want to, let's get back into the conversation. So we would want to, but please keep it coming, keep the comments coming. So you'd want to be very intentional about keeping and also getting you. So there's a moment for hunting and there's a moment for keeping. It's more like a family, it's more like a family. There's a moment where you want to plan to have children, and there's a moment you want to plan to nurture the children. You can't be having children and nurturing at the same time, because that means you didn't expect the one that just came in, and now it begin to look like you have to pro plan instead of pre plan. So planning when to get more consumers is key, and also planning when to what's it called, maintain those who you have is key. Even as a business, I think this is one of the key things you want to focus more on, because if you do not if you do not if you do not become very intentional about making seasons where you get more customers, and seasons where you want to focus on the customers you have, you're going to lose out on a bigger picture. Some people do it subtly or subconsciously by giving promos and all those. I mean, as much as it will catch people who are yet to join, one thing you would witness is that those who are with you begin to feel more connected. Some people even give what's it called, gift voucher to people who have subscribed to their business. Things that keep people engaged, keep people keep people tuned in, and that is very very important. As a content creator, it's very important. And there are moments where they go all out to what's it called, do sponsorship promos that will bring people in. So as a business, yeah, we practice it, but as a content creator too, you'd want to do the same thing, because in that moment it gives you room to invest. It gives you room to invest more time, invest more energy, and what you are going to deliver to the people. You understand? Because in that moment, people that are already a part of your community will end up becoming a support to you, instead of them laying back and waiting for what is next. If they are being carried along, in your growth journey, they know that okay, in this time or in this season, whatever this business is about is not about us. As much as we can participate and enjoy from it, it is not solely about us. They are trying to bring more people into, and all that is important. Communication with your customers or consumers, those who are already with you, is key. Carry them along as a community, and that will really help you. I want to use this opportunity to say this class is not just 2 days. This class is going to be staying for as long as possible. Honestly, possibly this could be my retirement strategy, where I have content and connect with the people out there, and get everybody talking about content. So look forward to me doing more of this. Look forward to me doing more content, more connecting, more community building, more events, more live session practice, more consultants, more engagement with you guys. Helping you one on one to set up your space and get everything. Set the ball rolling. So you should be. I want you to anticipate and expect more of this from me, especially. I'm ready to go all the way with you guys. So stay tuned and yeah, let's move on to the next conversation. Okay, so another core principle I would want us to look at is what being relatable, what relatability builds connection. That is another core principle. That is one core principle. We've stated how many times